Welcome to your new favorite podcast, Glow Big with Stephanie. I'm your host, Stephanie, and this podcast is for all women. We want to inspire and empower you. We're going to bring you style, humor, entertainment, good intentions, big ideas, hope, and a little bit of sobriety in each and every episode. You can get all that and more at vibewithstephanie.com. But right now, grab yourself a sparkly water, put it in a pretty glass or a coffee, and get comfy and enjoy the show. All right, we are trying this again. I recorded this podcast last night when my husband and kid went to a birthday party. I thought waiting until nighttime when they were gone would be a great idea, but I listened to it this morning. I woke up and there were already several views or listens, and I listened to it and I sounded like I was yelling. I sounded really choppy and upset, and this is supposed to be a podcast about having fun, so I just had to redo it. I mean, I think that's part of the problem with being a perfectionist or listening to your work over again, because you're like, oh, I got to redo that. So I need to not make a habit of listening, but honestly, that one just sounded so bad. I'm re-recording it. So I hope you are, wherever you are, you're feeling good. And I know it's really been tough lately. I just think it's all around. I don't think it's just me having a hard time. I think a lot of us are struggling. And I know for me, I'm sleeping later. I used to wake up at like 5:45, ready to take on the world and get some work done before Maverick even woke up, and have my coffee and maybe even meditate. And it's just getting harder and harder. And it's not even summer. And I'm sure the sickness that's going around has a lot to do with it, but it's just annoying. So hang in there. I know that a lot of us are feeling the same way. So today's podcast is really going to be about one of the questions that I get asked a lot. And it's also something that was on the very top of my brain when I was thinking about quitting. One of the things that probably held me back from quitting as long, I mean, there was a bunch of things, fear, more fear, fear of failure. But one of the things was, am I still going to be fun? Who am I even going to be? Everyone that knows me as a drinker, as like the fun girl. I've been the party girl for a long time. But since thinking about this topic, I've thought about all the fun that I really was, and I'm not quite sure it was that much fun, like falling off tables and saying mean things to people. And I asked my husband, I said, I'm going to do this podcast about whether or not we're fun anymore once we quit drinking. And he said, oh, you're fun. You're just not unpredictable. You're not unpredictable anymore, which is really nice for him. He said he was on edge a lot. Every time he saw me with a drink, he just was not sure if this was the time I was going to act a fool, or he would have to take care of me, or whatever the situation was. It's just nice that I'm really stable now. So we're going to talk about the fun and what happens when you quit drinking. And I guess the census is you are still going to be fun. You do have a little bit of a waiting period while your body adjusts to getting rid of that fake dopamine and the expectation that you're going to drink and give it the dopamine. Once that goes away, you start to become yourself again, and you start to lighten up again and start to smile at things you used to smile at. So, okay, what you feared is correct. You are not going to be a whole lot of fun in the first 15 days, because whether you drink a lot or a little, your body is used to getting dopamine, this artificial dopamine, which is alcohol, at certain times. For me, it was at night and on the weekends. And for you, it might be just the weekends at night or when you go out. So when you go to slow down or stop, your neurotransmitters in your brain are used to getting this dopamine kick. And depending on how much you drank and how often is going to depend on how long it takes for your body to start making its own, because it's not going to get the fake one anymore. So now it's like, oh, I better pick up some speed here and start making my own. So, which I found to be really interesting when I read that during your active addiction or during your active drinking, you do not have fun anymore, in as much fun as you would before you started drinking, because you're waiting for your next drink. Like going to the ice cream truck and playing with your kid is actually supposed to give you dopamine. It's actually supposed to make you happy. But sometimes those things stop making us happy because we don't have our alcohol in our bodies, which I found to be so sad and so true. But it was true. Like, we're supposed to have fun doing little things like kicking a ball, but alcohol has depleted our natural dopamine. So those things aren't that much fun anymore. So when quitting, you just have to expect that it's going to be like 15, maybe 45 days before your own body starts producing your natural dopamine. And then you'll start realizing that you're smiling and you're laughing genuinely at things again. So that's really, really nice. So you are going to want to tell your friends that you are not going to be joining them out for a while, because that will be a trigger for sure. Like when you're doing the same things you've been doing with your friends so early on, it's going to be really impossible to stay sober. So make sure you tell your friends and see if you can even get a sober buddy. You might have friends with different reactions. They're going to be maybe excited for you. Some might be upset that they're losing their drinking friend. Some might be jealous. It might trigger something in them as well. Like, I know when I had girlfriends who would say that they're not going to drink that night, or they're not drinking for dry January, which I never thought I could do. I never did a dry January because it to me seemed impossible. But I've had friends tell me that they were doing that and I was jealous. Something happened within me when I was irritated with them that they were doing that and leaving me behind, kind of thing. So you're going to have all kinds of different reactions from your friends, but just be steadfast. Try to find a sober buddy. And then there's all kinds of support online that will, including my own sober group, Sober Vibes with Stephanie. You can go right there. It's a Facebook group and you'll have support within there and talk about, ups and downs of sobriety. But the very beginning days, it's not going to be that much fun, but your funness will come back. And it's going to come back in a little bit different of a way, because I'm sorry about that ding. I actually tried to turn that off before this podcast started and I could not figure out where it's coming from. I went to settings, notifications, couldn't figure it out. Sorry about that. Okay, so your being fun is going to come in different forms now. Like, I'm not dancing on bars anymore. I'm not going out and listening to bands at the moment, just because I feel like that for me would be some kind of trigger. Although, if you do want to go, make sure you have non-alcoholic beers at the ready, or non-alcoholic beverages of some kind, something in your hand. So I remember when I first got sober, we went to like this big outdoor festival and I loaded down my husband's cargo pants with non-alcoholic beer, because I knew, there's beer tents everywhere. There were bands, there were friends I was going to see. So I just knew this was going to be a place where I was going to probably think to have a drink. And rather than do that, I had some non-alcoholic beers on hand. So I've noticed that those non-alcoholic beers and the mocktails that I make have kept me fun and feeling fun, and not like I was a Debbie Downer. So some people say that those may trigger you to drink real drinks. For me, they saved me. So if you drink it and you feel triggered to actually drink alcohol, then maybe that's not for you. Or if you feel like it might, then don't. But for real, they were one of the biggest ways that I kept myself sober in the early days, is non-alcoholic beers. And I do have favorites. Let's see, Athletic beer, Upside Dawn was really good. But then they're very expensive, and I don't know where all of these brands get off with the cost. But actually, recently I found Busch Light, or Busch NA. And oh my gosh, it's so good. I was like shocked. It tastes just like their real beer. And you can always squeeze some lime in there or pour it in a mug and, put lime in and even salt the rim and make it fun. So there's a bunch of different things you can try. And then also, as far as I talked about dancing on bars. Well, when I went to Mexico this last time in April, I did not stay out and I did not stay on the dance floor because really I hadn't danced in ages without a drink. Ages. Like, think about, when is the last time you let loose on a dance floor without having a cocktail or two? Like, I put it in the comments if you've even ever. So it's just been decades since we've danced without drinking. So my recommendation for that is, because I wish I had done this prior, and I do have dance parties with Maverick, but I should have like blasted the music and really gotten to know my body again and do some dance moves at home, maybe with YouTube or the music station on my TV, and just kind of get to know how to dance again sober. It's kind of weird because when that music hits, you're like, it just doesn't hit the same because you're not drinking. So you'll be fun, you will dance again, but I do recommend maybe practicing and getting some music going at your house. And make sure that you have little crafts and a journal and maybe some audiobooks that you can read to just kind of, I don't know, to make it seem more normal. You really need something that's going to replace your drinking. And for me, a lot of the time that was walking. Every time I thought about drinking, I would go and take a long walk or a quick manic walk, or I would do some breathing exercises. And I have a course right now that walks you through the first 30 days of being sober. And a lot of this information is in there, but it's me doing videos and showing you step by step every day what you can do to relax, to have fun, to replace those drinking habits, and what kind of things you can do to add in to make your life a little more fun, a lot more fun, actually. And you're going to go through some discomfort when you first quit drinking in the evenings, on the weekends when you're staying home. You're going to have FOMO. You're going to have fear of missing out. And you might find yourself to be a little bored and a little anxious at first. And that's normal. We've been putting fake shots of happiness, air quote, happiness, in our bodies for so long. You're not going to quite know what to do with yourself. So in the beginning, I guess the short answer is yes, you're going to have fun again. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. But it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to. And I do suggest like finding new ways to have fun, dancing, yoga, meeting new friends. There's so many different ways to find groups on Facebook. There's competitive sports. You could take up tennis, which would be amazing. Be careful for like softball and volleyball because a lot of times those are bar leagues. And I did a bar league one time unknowingly. I was young. It was my first softball team ever. I just thought that was the norm. I mean, to drink during the game, drink after the game, and it was just a lot of heavy drinking. So be careful with the bar leagues, but you can even learn to paint on YouTube. There was a lady, I went to Dollar Tree, got a bunch of paints and paint brushes, and there was like a really pretty set you could get to at Ross or TJ Maxx. And but Dollar Tree has them perfectly awesome. And you can go on YouTube and some lady will literally walk you through painting like a sunset with a little sailboat or whatever. And it's just different ways of having fun. It's not going to be dancing on bars probably, but do you really want to be dancing on bars at this age anyway? I, for one, am relieved that that is no longer in my outlook and that my child doesn't have to see me do that, a little bit embarrassing. Then there's so many different teas and coffees and mocktails to explore that make things fun. Like my girlfriend had me over the other day to her pool and I knew she would be drinking, and she happened to be drinking my favorite drink, which was Palomas, because it's got grapefruit in there and lime juice and salt. I mean, yum, so refreshing. But of course, she was having tequila. So I brought my own stuff. I brought my own zero proof tequila by Ritual. I'm going to put a link in the comments so you can get that if you want at a discount. But this tequila is so good. So I made my own Paloma. It's 0 proof tequila, grapefruit, lime juice, salted the rim, and I felt like I was actually having cocktails, except I didn't have the hangover. I didn't get a headache. I didn't feel hot and like overwhelmed from the heat like you do if you're drinking out in the sun. It was just really, really nice, and I never felt like I missed a thing. And I got that tagine, which is this spicy salt to put around the rims. So you just feel like you're a part of the thing. So my tip for having fun when you're around your friends who are drinking is definitely make sure that you are stocked up on your own drinks, whether it's just sparkly waters and limes and lemons, or non-alcoholic beer or non-alcoholic tequila, and research and look up some recipes. If you go to vibewithstephanie.com, I actually have a couple of recipes in there, and I'm going to put this one that I just learned yesterday up in there today. It is pina colada. Who knew that you could make a healthy pina colada without alcohol and have it taste so good? So it's literally like pineapples, water, pineapple juice, coconut cream or coconut milk, and some cinnamon, and you blend it, and boom, you have a healthy pina colada, and you're not feeling sugary and weighed down by the alcohol and by the pina colada itself. So many fun mocktails. There's a blackberry mojito I want to try. I just need to go get some mint. And you're going to find that you're having more fun and that you're more fun without the booze. And you're going to be surprised at how good these things actually taste without adding ethanol to it. And my girlfriend that day who was making the palomas, she's like, "You just seem more present. You seem happier and nicer." And I really appreciate that. And it's true. I'm not so scattered. I'm not. When I was drinking, I was constantly worried from the moment I knew I'd be drinking, especially if it was outside my house, the anxiety would start. Who am I going to be? Am I going to drink too much? Am I going to drive home and get a DUI or wreck my car? How am I going to act? What about the hangover? I'm going to have an instant hangover as soon as I get home. Am I going to have wine when I get home? Is there enough wine when I get home from drinking to calm me down from the day drinking? It was a process, and it's just so much more freeing to know that none of that's going to happen. And when you're free, you have a sense of fun about you. There's no chains weighing you down. So it's a different kind of fun, a different feeling, but I can tell you it's just so much better. What else? I think that that's it. I mean, you're just going to find a new way of having fun. Like, did I ever think I'd be rollerblading? No, I didn't. What about kayaking? I'm kayaking now with Maverick, rollerblading. We are having different kinds of fun. And my friends would tell you I'm a little bit lighter on my feet and I seem nicer. They don't have to worry about me flipping a switch. And that wasn't very fun. Who was that fun for? You know what I mean? There's a certain amount of fun, and then there's a point where it isn't fun anymore. And I always hit that point. So I don't know. We're all different kinds of drinkers, but just don't be worried that you're not going to be a good time anymore, because you are. You're going to come back to being your true self, which is nice, because I haven't seen this true self of mine in gosh knows how long. I don't even know. It's been a long time. So my inner child has been begging to meet this person for a long time. And then you're going to get busy with things. You're going to be so surprised at how many more things you can fit into your life. Like when I quit drinking, I started this podcast. I started a sobriety support group. I created a course for people to take if they wanted to discover what it's like to get sober. Your time is going to open up, and your brain, you're not foggy anymore, and you're going to like it. Trust me. So, all right, let me know how this helps you. I can't wait to find out if this has kept you from quitting, if wondering whether you are going to be fun anymore. Because you are, girl, you are. You're fun. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Give me some feedback on this podcast. Chat soon.
Thanks for hanging out with us today on Glow Big. We hope you're leaving empowered and happy and ready to take on the world. For more information, you can go to vibewithstephanie.com. And if you're interested in taking the 30-day Sober Up to Glow Up course, just click Sober Up to Glow Up course for more information. Have a great day.